Hello and welcome back to Do It with Daisy. I'm Daisy. Waffles is here too, and we are so excited to share today's recipe with you. Today, we are gonna make some sweet potato meringue. So let's go ahead and dive in and do some doggone cooking. The first thing that we need to do when we make any meringue is that we need to separate our eggs. So we will crack it evenly and just transfer the egg from one shell to the other. This is actually a really great example because I see a cracked shell on top of this egg yolk. All right, so we're gonna separate our egg. One more egg. We want 2 egg whites for this recipe. You could probably do it with 1, but it is a lot harder to get a stable meringue from just 1 egg white. So I opt for 2. And since I'm using pasteurized eggs here, then I can let Waffles eat these yolks. Now the next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and wrap our sweet potato up in a wet towel. Do a little roll, do a little wrap, little roll, little wrap. Really get it tucked in there nice and tight. Make sure that there's no bare spots. And then we're gonna pop this in the microwave for 5 to 10 minutes. Now, while we've got that cooking, we can go ahead and start on our meringue. Now, a traditional meringue has lemon juice, it's got a ton of sugar, and usually people like to add some vanilla to that. Vanilla is a great ingredient to work with, and it's safe for dogs, but for the sake of saving the calories, we're going to go ahead and opt out of the vanilla. We will, however, add about a teaspoon of lemon juice. And instead of sugar, which is highly processed, we are going to use some raw, all-natural honey. Really what makes a meringue work is the crystal sugars, and honey has such a high sugar content that those crystals are also present in here. So we're still gonna be able to get that nice fluffy meringue. So we'll start with about a tablespoon of honey. And then we're going to beat this mixture until it starts to get nice and foamy. At that point, we're going to gradually add in a little bit more honey. Altogether, we'll probably use about 3 tablespoons of honey. Now, if you're making this for yourself and you're just trying to get a nice sugar-free meringue, you can add a lot more honey. As long as you're doing it gradually, you can really add as much honey as you want and it'll get like a nice golden texture. For the sake of sharing with our dogs though, we want to try to not use more than 3 tablespoons. So we'll start with just 1 and then we'll start mixing. So now this is that foam I was talking about. So I'm gonna turn the mixer back on and I'm gonna add about half a tablespoon of honey. And here you can see that that foam has gotten thicker. Each time we see that change of consistency, we're going to add a little bit more honey. And we wanna keep going until we get nice, stiff peaks. Here, I can get peaks, but they're kind of floppy. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep going, and you can see how very little amount of honey I'm adding each time. And if you're making this for yourself and making a sweeter addition, that's where you just add a lot more honey at each interval. We're just adding maybe half a teaspoon to a teaspoon and a half each time, because like I said, we do not want to exceed 3 tablespoons. 1 tablespoon is already 60 calories. So depending on how big your dog is, they don't really need a whole lot of added calories. according to veterinarians, our dogs really shouldn't get more than 10% of their diet in added treats outside of their balanced diet that's been balanced by a licensed veterinary nutritionist. So for Waffles, that means she doesn't really need more than like 90 calories of treats each day. So fortunately, this is gonna be plenty of meringue for us to share. Yeah, there we go. Now we got some nice stiff peaks. There we go. So they don't fall over when I move it around. I'm gonna go ahead and blast my mixer on high without putting it in so I can get this excess meringue off of the beaters. And then I will eject them. And again, since we are using pasteurized eggs, these are safe to lick. So yummy. Waffles, do you want some? Sit. That yummy? Now, when our sweet potato gets out of the microwave, it's still gonna be kind of hard. And the way that we can tell if it's done or not is by smushing it a little. So since it's so hot, squeezing it would hurt my hands. So I'm gonna use a second towel or an oven mitt, place it on top, squeeze and roll that sweet potato. That helps disperse the heat within the vegetable. And then after a little bit of squeezing, if it's still hard, then it just needs to go back in the microwave for a little bit longer. I only put it in for 5 minutes. It usually takes about 5 to 10. Oh, but you know what? The outsides feel nice and soft. So the big hump in the middle is not fully cooked, but these outsides are nice and soft. So we're going to go ahead and take our sweet potato and we'll put it in an oven-safe dish. Mash it down. It's important to keep in mind that this sweet potato, now that it's tender, it is fully cooked and safe to eat. It's also important to keep in mind that we are using pasteurized eggs. This whole meringue is safe to eat as is right now too. However, we're not going to eat it right now. We're going to eat it with our sweet potato. So I'm going to take our meringue tablespoon by tablespoon and add it on top of our mashed sweet potato here. Just kind of flick it in there. And then once we have our ramekin or baking dish completely full, then we can go ahead and just make little peaks all around just to make it a little extra pretty. And then we will go ahead and put this in the oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for maybe 5 minutes. We don't want to do it too long because the meringue will burn fairly quickly. If we were cooking the meringue just by itself, we wouldn't want the temperature of the oven to be higher than like 175, 200 tops. So this will cook fairly quickly, but since it's not just the meringue in this dish, I do want to put it up to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, any excess meringue we have can just be cooked in a separate dish, or it can be refrigerated, only if you use pasteurized eggs though. If you do not check to make sure your eggs are pasteurized, definitely go ahead and bake it in a separate dish at 175 degrees Fahrenheit. So I'll set this aside because I don't want to bake it at the same temperature that I'm baking the rest of our meringue. So here is our finished sweet potato meringue. We've got nice, fluffy, sweetened egg on top, and then we've got our sweet potato on the bottom. So let's go ahead and give this a try. Mmm. Yeah, that good stuff, huh? So delicious. This is definitely my favorite holiday side dish. To be honest, candied yams have always been my favorite holiday side dish. But when I realized that I could make a healthy version of them, I went nuts. I have these as a snack all the time, and I definitely have them as a replacement to candied yams with any sort of celebratory dinner that we're doing. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope that you enjoyed today's video, and I really hope that you give this recipe a try at home because it is to die for, and it is so simple and easy. So definitely make sure that you give it a try at home, and if you liked this video, make sure that you hit that like button and share it with a friend. And definitely make sure that you're subscribed to us because we don't want you to miss out on any of our dog-friendly content. We'll see you next time.